Hey, this is Robert with Sigma 3 Survival, and we're here to show you a cool little fishing trap. It's called a deadfall fish trap. A lot of people like to use a spring snare fish trap, which is similar to this. It's based on the same principle, but it's done with a counterweight instead of actually tying down a tree limb. I like this method a lot better because when you do a spring snare with a tree limb, the problem with that is you almost never find them anywhere that you need them or want them. You can strap them to trees, but the problem with the spring snare is that if it's slightly green, then it'll conform to the way that you bend it, and if it's slightly dead, then you can't get enough bend out of it to get enough rise action. So I build most of my triggers on deadfalls because I think that they're a lot more practical. Basically what we've done is I've taken a stake, and it's got just a slight little tip on it here, and I'll show you here in a second up close exactly what it looks like. And you have a trigger system, which is very simple. You basically just tie your trot line off on one end, and then you've got a notch in the other end, and you hook this notch into the post that you've driven down here. And all we do is we're going to hook this in on a hair trigger, and then we'll tie our fishing line and run it out, and however we want to set it up, whether it be on a bobber system or if you're bottom fishing, just depends on what you want to go for. But basically what happens is when the fish tugs at it on this hair trigger, it'll pull, it'll release, and it'll set the hook for you. And we're going to finish building the rest of the trap and see if we can't get something going. Alright, we've got our trigger and our deadfall and everything set up, and basically what we did, instead of doing like a bobber set, we're going to basically run it along the bottom. That's a lot better for something that you're going to leave for longer periods of time, because if you've got a bobber, a primitive type bobber set up, and we'll show that in a different video, basically what happens is it'll blow in the wind and it'll get caught up and tangled up in vegetation and things like that. So it needs to, a bobber set's something you need to be around and be close to. But basically all we've done is just gotten a sinker here. You just grab a rock, tie your trot line to it, and then you tie your monofilament to where your sinker setup is. And my sinker is attached to the base of the trigger. And what happens, oh, see, it's on a hair trigger. What happens, and you want to make sure that your trigger right here is attached at the bottom so that it's even more sensitive. So when we set this, another thing that's really important is that you want the trigger to be turned in the direction of where the actual deadfall is facing. It's kind of an important aspect. And so we're going to set this, and we're going to go ahead and throw it out. And you can adjust the sensitivity of the trigger as needed. Normally for when I'm throwing it out, I'll go ahead and either hold on to it or set it to be not as sensitive. So I'm just going to take my rock in one hand and my hook in the other, and let the weight of the rock take the bait and just toss it out. We'll let that set. I'll keep it real sensitive like I said, and when he pulls on it, it'll pull and set the hook. And that's basically a spring deadfall fish trap.